Special guests. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Video Vantage, our marketing podcast where we chat all things marketing and comms. Today, we're going to be talking about how small businesses can use videos to kind of compete with larger brands in their marketing efforts. And Mike, we've got some great questions here. What do you think are some key strategies that smaller brands can adopt to capture the attention of their audience with video?
Yeah, so I think there's probably like two or three different ways that businesses can use video to really help stand out from their competition, to grab audience attention, that type of thing. I think the first one is to use video to get customer testimonials.
Yep.
And I think you can, I don't know, some of them are, maybe I'm just jaded, but I read some of these testimonials online and I'm like, is that real?
Yeah.
It just says like from so-and-so, a happy customer. And I'm like, really?
Totally.
Did they really write that? Or did somebody in marketing write that? And I think in today's day and age, I think we as consumers are much more savvy to that. And I also think that we respond better when we see somebody sharing their experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think getting a testimonial from a customer is really powerful because it's probably going to be more genuine than anything you could even come up with on your own. So,
Agreed. And as the consumer, you can kind of see the emotion that they're putting into the testimonial too. So it makes it a little bit more authentic.
yeah. And I think also if I see somebody, I'm like, oh, I can relate to that person, right? Either
Totally.
like I see myself in them or I see a family member or a friend in them. And then
Yep.
I'm like, okay, yeah, this is relatable now. So I think that's a really
Absolutely.
powerful way.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. We also have on here
Um,
using videos
okay.
to have like product demos, which I think is just so common nowadays. I've been looking at a lot of the AI updates coming out of Microsoft's build that they
Mm.
just had, and Google had their I/O conference a week or two ago. And the amount of videos that they used to showcase these new products and new tools, it was like every single product and tool had its own little launch video essentially. It's a really cool way to show the use case and just like build hype around your product.
Yeah, and I think, small businesses can take a page out of, the Microsoft book. And if you look at like what Apple does on their big presentations every year, where they used to be live demos, but then during the pandemic, they shifted to being like these, highly overproduced, wonderfully produced videos, demos. But I guess the page to take out of their book is like, you don't have to be an Apple or Microsoft to make a product video, right?
Totally. Yep.
And if you're not sure how to do that, you can find templates different places, or like I think a really good place to go and look to get inspiration for like how should you structure a product demo, especially if you're a small business, is going to Kickstarter and just kind of cruise through all those videos, because there's a really tried and true proven template for like how do you put together a product demo video.
Totally.
And so I think you don't have to break the bank. You don't have to have Apple, Microsoft sized budgets. You can do this with video, and it's pretty approachable.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I feel like nowadays, again, that authenticity is really valued. So a highly
Mm-hmm.
produced video is great, but I feel like people almost like kind of seeing those more approachable looking videos that maybe look like it was captured on an iPhone, or it's just like a founder in their office and it just seems very vulnerable and friendly. And even some of the Airbnb commercials that I've seen recently are really beautiful, but it's mainly like text and clips of their listings, which is like so easy for anybody to replicate in any sort of video maker on their own with like either stock footage or if they have their own clips of their product. It's just, you can definitely get some high quality effects with these less expensive softwares now.
Yeah, and to your point there on the camera or the video camera equipment, right? The current batch of iPhones creates amazing high quality video. You don't
Yeah,
have to have like, the super high end red cameras, or Canons or the Aries or whatever, any of those things, right? An iPhone does great, like you just said. The more authentic it is, I think actually the more it hits home and gets that connection with folks.
I completely agree. And that's a good segue into the next point we have about storytelling. How important do you think storytelling is in video marketing? And can it help smaller brands kind of differentiate themselves from the larger competitors?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, first of all, I think storytelling is like super important in all marketing.
Yeah,
Um, and the reason is that that's how, humans have been, passing down information for, through over the generations, right? Just through storytelling. And so I think, as we talked about, we keep beating the drum on being authentic. I think businesses can't afford to just be these faceless entities. You have to be able to make a connection with their audience, right? And I think brand storytelling does that.
yeah,
I think telling the story of what you do, why you do it, all of that stuff really matters to people.
agreed.
Um, and so I think storytelling is really important because you'll remember things. Your audience will
Mm,
remember it better, right? If I
agreed.
just say my phone is X number of times faster, or it has X amount more, gigabytes of storage, the numbers change and they
Mhm.
fade, and it doesn't really matter. But if I tell a story about what I can accomplish with this phone in this example, that's what you remember, right? And so I think figuring out what that story is critical. Um, and I mean, what's your experience like in terms of like seeing storytelling or using storytelling from a community standpoint? How have you seen that impact anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I think hearing the story, not only about the product, but also the people behind the product, whether it's the founders or the team that's building it, people love to see that nowadays. Like they love to see the behind the scenes of kind of building in public, which has always been a very popular thing. But now with all these short form video platforms like TikTok, it's building in public and like building in public kind of in real time because you can
Yeah.
just film a 6 second video and talk about your day and then post it. And I think people can really connect to that, and it helps you build trust with your potential users and customers. And if they trust you, then they'll come back and they'll trust your product and they'll recommend it to others. And I think, especially in the early days, kind of rallying that community around you is so invaluable because word of mouth is going to be probably our most effective source of marketing and the cheapest. So it's definitely something that I am seeing a lot of businesses, especially small businesses, tap into because you don't need many resources to get started, and you really can get started for free.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a really good point. Um, what do you think? As a business is trying to figure out like what should they be doing, where should they go, like what role do you think understanding their target audience plays when they're trying to figure out what kind of campaigns they want to put together?
Yeah, I think it plays a huge role, and it's probably one of the first things that you can should consider. So when you're putting
Hmm.
these campaigns together, you're probably trying to address pain points, but you don't know what those pain points are if you don't understand your customer base. So I think it's kind of like looking at what people are saying about either your product or similar products in the market. What are their complaints? Listening to those customers and kind of taking that and putting it all into your campaign. I prefer showing rather than telling. So instead of saying like, "Oh, this microphone is really great," demonstrate how it compares to other microphones and like give people that real-time comparison. Yeah, that's kind of what I've seen so far.
And we've talked about touch on this a little bit in the past in some previous episodes, but I'm curious, um, how do you think a small business should be thinking about video based on the platform where their audience is?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think, again, it kind of comes down to knowing who your audience is, what age range are they in, where are they spending the most time, and then instead of trying to tackle all of the platforms, pick a couple that are either important for you for building a community or for driving sales, because there will be some that are better than others for each purpose. And then kind of
Hmm.
focus your content efforts there and create content specifically for those platforms. It might mean two different videos that talk about the same topic, just in two different styles. But I think you kind of have to gear your content specifically for a platform. Otherwise, it's a bit obvious if it's kind of copy and pasted. For example, if you make a video for YouTube and then you put it on TikTok, that's people are going to be able to tell, and it probably won't do very well. But yeah, really
Interesting.
just focusing on where your audience is spending time and then going to them there. You can't really expect them to go and find you where you are. You have to seek them out.
And if you do a video so it's interesting about like that you've seen something that's made for YouTube doesn't necessarily translate to a platform like TikTok.
Yeah.
Is the opposite also true? So like if you do something on TikTok, will it or can it perform well on YouTube? Or is it like, no, it's really specific to the platform and you're gonna have to maybe redo it or like think of a different way to package it?
Yeah, I think there's no hard and fast rules, but as a general rule, I would say it doesn't really translate well. I think
Mm,
a video that was made for TikTok will do fine on Instagram, will do fine on Facebook, but you'll probably get the most reach on TikTok just because it's a newer platform. But especially if you're focusing on TikTok, it has such a different feel to all of the other social platforms. So I think you can have the same idea for a TikTok video and a YouTube video, but you'll have to package it up differently for each platform, especially if you're looking at YouTube long form content, because then you're just in a completely different filming ratio. So that'll throw things off from the get go. But
yeah.
yeah, I think the ideas will translate across all platforms, but the way that you portray those ideas will probably vary slightly. Sometimes they'll be able to get away with both, but for the most part, I think you should kind of plan to have slightly different content.
And do you think that there's an opportunity for smaller brands to leverage newer platforms like TikTok or maybe newer features within an existing platform? And like specifically, I'm thinking about like YouTube Shorts
Yep.
um, because I'm thinking like if I'm a small company, how do I compete with you know a massive brand like a Nike or an Apple or whomever, right? On a platform like YouTube that has maybe millions of subscribers, right? And is going to get that boost from the algorithm based on their subscriber and engagement that they already have. I'm small, like how do I try to like leverage new platforms or leverage new features to try to compete with that? Is it like you're just like, spitting into the wind, or is there hope for somebody?
Yeah, I think there's definitely hope. A platform like YouTube, I think YouTube traditionally is one of the hardest social media platforms to grow on just because it is so busy there already and there are so many creators posting videos. But with the introduction of a kind of subset on the platform like Shorts, whenever there's a new feature or a new product like that launched within a social network, typically they'll reward people who are embracing that new product. So if you go and make a bunch of shorts for your business right when Shorts gets announced, you'll probably see a little bit of a boost from YouTube. Like they'll reward you for taking advantage of that new feature. Same thing if you are on, for example, Instagram and TikTok recently rolled out like a duetting feature where you can duet somebody's video and it'll pop up beside yours and you can film yours right alongside theirs. It's kind of like taking advantage of those new features. Not only will you get a boost from those platforms, but it's also just a cool way to kind of mix up your own content and see like maybe my audience will like this better. Maybe it'll reach more people. That's a trend that I'm seeing right now that a lot of small businesses are using on TikTok and Instagram specifically is they'll actually duet a large creator's video and it could be completely
Mm.
unrelated and they will tell the story of their product alongside the duet of this video of somebody like cleaning a pool or something like that. So it doesn't even have to be related to your product, but just kind of like testing out different ways of content like that, I think is always rewarded by the platforms.
And so I think that's maybe um, a great tip for people in general. Like, because if someone watches this video in 6 months and YouTube Shorts is maybe no longer the new thing, but there's something else that's new on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram,
Yep.
I think the takeaway that I'm hearing from you is that small businesses or maybe anybody really just needs to like always experiment with the new feature on a platform. That's what I'm kind
Yeah.
of the takeaway, I think, right?
Yeah, be willing to try it, be willing to change your existing content strategy slightly to incorporate it. And I think most importantly, if you are on a platform, a social media platform, for example, is be consistent. If your first video doesn't
Mm.
do well, don't give up after that just because it didn't go viral, because a very small fraction of videos actually go viral. So just kind of keep putting that content out there, engage with other people who are in your target audience, and I think success will come.
Awesome. Good advice.
That wraps up our 15 minutes today.
Awesome. That was really fast.
That was very fast. Thank you, Mike, for chatting with me about all things
Yeah.
small business and video marketing. Thanks to everybody. We got a couple people tune in live, which is always exciting, but we'll see you all next week. Thanks
All
for
right. Thanks,
joining.
Haley.
Thanks, Mike.